tell me a little bit about your work experience with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, I've always observed him and what he was doing, and any campaign he was involved in. When I was old enough, I helped to support it, like the Selma movement, for example. And I was up in Chicago. It was recruiting people to come on the Freedom Rides, as well as when we had the Selma March. I trained a lot of the marshals. Like, a lot of people don't know that some of the marshals on the Selma to Montgomery March were actually gang members from Chicago, the Vice Lords. There's a photo with a fellow with the American flag. He has a black beret on, backwards, and he's standing in front of Mrs. King and Dr. King and Abernathy, and actually in Montgomery at the end of the march. His name is Lamar McCoy. Lamar McCoy was the head of the Vice Lords on the west side of Chicago. So we had gang members. So I was going back and forth with them because I was coming to Selma and I wanted to come through Montgomery, but I couldn't get a flight. So I went to Birmingham, and Mrs. Lausa picked me up, and she drove me from Birmingham to Selma. In that same car she was killed in, I actually rode in that car with her. So I was always looking ahead to the next movement. So after Selma, the next movement was going to be in Chicago. Martin Luther King wanted to move north as well. So he observed me there and worked with me. And then I laid the groundwork for the Chicago movement. And Jim Bevel was also working with us. So the spring mobilization to end the war in Vietnam, out of New York, I was a national coordinator for that big march we had from Central Park to the UN. And Martin Luther King was a speaker for that. So then he decided he wanted me to come to Atlanta and join the SCLC. But I was working at that time with the Quakers, American Friends Service Committee. They had a pretty good salary and benefits, and they had retirement, and had all kind of leaves and reimbursements. So I told Dr. King I could get them to allow me to work with SCLC on anything. In fact, I could bring some more people. So. But he said, I want you to come to Chicago.
Okay.
So I did. So he appointed me the national coordinator for the Poor People's Campaign, as well as the national administrator for the program staff. So I supervised Jesse Jackson. If you ask Jesse Jackson right now, down that street, who trained him nonviolence, I'll tell you I did. Okay, so I supervised Jim Bevel. Okay, I'll go ahead and train him. He was already trained from the Nashville movement. So I was with Martin Luther King in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, the same day he was assassinated. He had a press conference in Washington, D.C., but he couldn't go because he had to stay and do the march over again. So when he had to do the march over again, he sent me to Washington, D.C. So I was with him that morning. 5 hours after I left him, he was shot and killed.
You know, talk about, so you've been able to work for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and to see thousands of people just over these 54 years march in his footsteps. What does this mean for you? To see all these people.
It means that Martin Luther King's message was heard. Not because it was loud, but because it was clear. And people realized that what Martin Luther King was doing was giving them a direction and a path to bring about changes. Because in 12 years, which was the life of the movement of Martin Luther King, he had some major changes made. You know, like when Montgomery, Alabama. He showed how you could turn a system around. And he participated in the Selma movement. He gave us inspiration in the sit-in movement, Albany movement, Chicago movement, and the Vietnam anti-war movement. So people got a chance to see that things could be changed. But there was a strategy and a method to it. And I think that this is what made the difference. I decided that since the last words Martin Luther King said to me in Memphis was that his next movement was going to be to internationalize and institutionalize nonviolence. So since they shot and killed him, I decided that's what I would make my life work would be. Internationalize and institutionalize nonviolence. The fellow I introduced from Colombia, Harold Sanchez, he was a leader in jail, in the prison. And he sent for us to train his people. 60% of the killings that took place, assassination outside of jail, were ordered by the inmates who were in jail. But they were well organized. They were a system. That's why they killed 7 people a day in jail. Okay, among the inmates, 7 a day. So once we did training, we trained them how to manage conflict without killing each other.
Okay. You wanted to add anything else today about Bloody Sunday and just celebrating the 54th anniversary of people just holding hands and marching across the bridge?
Well, if you talk to these people who have come from many different places, these are people who are doing work right now. They picked up on Martin Luther King's message, and they're working in their communities. And every time I talk to somebody, they tell me about what they're doing. And they're working with youth, they're working with former inmates, and that sort of thing. Some are doing training, actually. People who have trained, many years ago, they have established their own training thing, okay? Yeah, one right there. So it's working. And this gathering that we have is showing that Martin Luther King's message still lives. And they're not just repeating it in words, but actually in deed and work. And if they continue that and help our young people, we can change. So that's what I like to say.
Perfect. All right.